This meeting of the Access, Academics, and Student Success Committee is called to order. Thank you all for being here in this nice, wet, and rainy day. I will conduct the meeting for the interim until we vote in a chair. First, we will start with the attendance. We'll call a roll, and if you wouldn't mind, we don't have to do it virtually, so if you wouldn't mind, Secretary.
Commissioner Allman?
Present.
Commissioner Perry?
Here.
Commissioner Ragsdale? Here. Commissioner Scarlett?
Here.
Commissioner Wood?
Here.
Secretary Hargett? Commissioner Morrison?
Then I believe is here.
Somewhere. Chairwoman, you have 5 voting members present in a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. Next item is to adopt the agenda. So I'll entertain a motion and a second to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Brilliant. All in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. Motion carries. Dr. Gentile, do we have any public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no public comment.
Wonderful. Wow, we're just blowing through this. With no questions or objections, I'll entertain a motion and a second to adopt the minutes from the August 14th committee meeting. I think you and I were the only ones there?
So yes, the minutes, Madam Chair, do accurately reflect that Commissioner Allman was on the call. However, the grid does not have her there, and so we've updated the minutes that we sent out yesterday to be adopted here.
Okay, I will make a motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion also passes. Thank you all. The first item on our regular agenda is the election of a chair. And I will open it up, the floor to nominations for the chair.
I'd like to nominate Whitney Allman.
Wonderful, I will second your nomination.
Let me try this again. I'd like to nominate Whitney Allman.
I'll second that. Any further discussion on nominations? Anyone else? Just checking. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, wonderful. And you know, I am remiss to say, did not introduce Commissioner Backert. So would you mind just kind of sharing what your new student representative to share what school you're at and what you're studying?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm from East Tennessee State University. My name is Skylar Brackett. I'm a pre-medical major there, and I'm a senior this year. I'll be attending the Quillen College of Medicine in that area next fall. So I'm very excited to be here today and to get started and learn.
Well, wonderful. Welcome to the team and welcome to our brand new chair. It's all you. You're very welcome.
The next item on our agenda is the institutional mission profiles. Dr. Julie Roberts, Chief Academic Officer, will provide an overview of the institutional mission profiles and answer any questions. Dr. Roberts, you are recognized.
Good morning and thank you. Can you hear me okay? Okay. As a reminder, according to Tennessee Code Annotated 498-101D, public universities and community colleges are required to annually submit institutional mission profiles to the Commission. These profiles should characterize distinctiveness of each institution. You can see in your materials any changes that have been made have been bolded, and so just wanted to present them for your review and approval. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions for Dr. Roberts? If there are no questions or objections, I will entertain a motion and a second on this agenda item.
Motion to approve.
We will take a voice vote.
Yeah, voice votes.
Okay. Madam Secretary.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Motion carries. The first item on our agenda is HBCU Success Advisory Board appointments and bylaws update. Dr. Brittany Mosby, Director of HBCU Success, will provide an overview of the agenda item and then answer any questions. Dr. Mosby, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chairwoman, and good morning, everyone. At our last meeting, I gave a preview of the item, and so today just going to expound on it a little bit. What we have is an advisory board made up of appointees who serve as an intermediary and an amplifier for us at the commission staff to bring issues of importance around our HBCUs, our historically black colleges, to the commission. We've gone through a few changes for our next iteration of the board. The goal is to center our presidents a little bit more in our discussions and to make sure that the policy solutions that we're looking for are really those that are going to support all of the students that attend the historically black colleges across the state. Enrollment across all of the 7 institutions is about 12,000 students, and so we really want to make sure that that group of students, that demographic of students, 80% Pell eligible, 74% African American, that's the demographic of student that we want to make sure enrolls, persists, and completes. And so that's the goal of the advisory board, to make sure that our HBCUs are doing the best they can to keep those students engaged through graduation. On the screen for you, we have the slate of recommended appointees. I'll go through each one. You have a short bio for the appointees in your commission materials. One of the changes that we did make is reducing the number from 9 to 4 to focus on regional issues and to raise up any common themes that we see across the state. Representing East Tennessee, we'll have Shelley Clemens. Shelley is a veteran police officer with the Knoxville Police Department. She attended Knoxville College out there in Knoxville, Tennessee, and she is very interested in pathways, especially to criminal justice, and she's interested in diversifying our law enforcement, which I think is a very noble cause, especially for us to bring to our HBCUs. Representing Middle Tennessee, we'll have Ashley Northington. She previously served as chair of the board, and she'll return to us again with her leadership for the next iteration. Ashley works at a public agency firm that has a portfolio of projects, but she focuses on higher education and access as well. Dr. Andre Churchwell will be our at-large member, meaning that he'll bring to us maybe a statewide picture. Dr. Churchwell is a special advisor to the chancellor at Vanderbilt on community engagement, and apparently one of the best dressed men in the country, according to Twitter. We're excited to have him return as well. And then our new appointee for West Tennessee will be Letitia Towns. She is currently Senior VP at Regional One Health in Memphis. She attended Tennessee State University and has served on government boards in the past, and so will bring with her a wealth of knowledge in engaging in the policy process. And I think maybe I have, okay. And then this is just an overview of some of the tangible changes that we made to the actual bylaws. So as I said, we restructured the number from 9 to 4, and if I can be frank, also looking at quorum for that. So gathering together our presidents and maintaining a quorum was important for us. The presidents are now voting members, so they'll count towards quorum and their voices will be recorded and heard. And then additionally, recognizing that the president may not always be the person that we need in the meeting, we've also allowed for the president to send a designee from their senior cabinet, so that if a meeting is heavily academic affairs, they can send their chief academic affairs officer to participate in the conversation as it makes sense. That's an overview of the changes. Tomorrow, you'll see the appointees before you for their approval, and happy to answer any questions.
Quick question. Hi, Brittany. The goal, what was the original purpose of putting together this advisory board? You can list out all the guidance areas, but I'm kind of curious to know, what was the original goal and what are your hopes?
Yes, great question. So a little trip backwards. The statute created the HBCU initiative was modeled off of the presidential executive order that establishes the White House initiative on HBCUs in DC. That executive order creates an office, and it also creates an advisory board. And so in Tennessee, we have a state analog version of that. So the advisory board was part of the original statute for the HBCU initiative. And in that statute, it outlines, the goals of the board is to make sure that the institutions are cooperating, sharing information, collaborating to the extent possible. 6 of the 7 HBCUs are private, and so to the best of our ability, trying to create a system of HBCUs in a way for them to sort of consolidate their concerns. And I would say that's my main goal for this board moving forward, is to have a consolidated voice. One of our signature events that we've had since I've started in this position is HBCU Day on the Hill at Cordell Hall. Usually in February, we'll go over and have all 7 schools there representing, advocating, and bringing out students to show the difference that those institutions are making. And so I would say the board is to give the campuses a voice to the commission, and also allow us to understand better what exactly challenges the HBCUs are facing. Stephen and I have been on a road trip, it seems like it'll never end, visiting all of the HBCUs and asking individually presidents. And what we uncover, there are themes, there are variations on that theme, and I'm very excited. I think one of the things that came up at one of our most recent visits was around shared services, maybe access to like state contracting, innovative solutions that make a difference on campus that maybe don't necessarily involve, program types of implementation, but things that resources that we can spread around. And so that's my goal, just to uncover some of those types of innovative tweaks and turns that we can make to make a difference for the campuses.
That's super helpful. Thank you so much. Kind of one follow-up question. Are the private universities open to providing information about enrollment and persistence and completion?
Yes.
Do we have like a holistic view of the HBCU success?
Yes, and I think one of the things that I've been talking with our data team members about is expanding the data agreements between the HBCUs and THEC. So the information that we currently get are on any students that are in FAST, so anyone who receives state aid, which actually is about 54% of HBCU students in Tennessee, either HOPE, TSAA, or Promise. So we already have a pretty good swath. But yes, there is both willingness to participate in a greater data sharing agreement. I will say one of the setbacks though is systems and communications. And so we've been looking at what it would take to upgrade. So our HBCUs aren't necessarily using, they're not all on Banner, they're not all on Oracle. So we've been looking at, what that would look like, what a data dump, what a data sharing would look like. But there is definitely interest in doing that, yeah. And for my own personal, I'm a statistician by training, so that's one of my goals too. Yeah.
Any further questions?
Madam Chair, if I may. Like Dr. Mosby said, we have traveled the state this year, and I've been to all but one HBCU, Knoxville College, so far. And there are some common themes, like Dr. Mosby mentioned, about helping use our data, our college-going data that we have to help explain and describe where students are going who might be in the service areas of these HBCUs. Another theme that's popped out to us is that we have 7 HBCUs. All but 2 of the presidents have just joined on. So 3 of the HBCUs, Lane, Knoxville, and Tennessee State University, of course, have interim presidents. Lemoyne, Owen, and Memphis, there was an interim president, and he just became a permanent president. American Baptist and Meharry Medical have had long-term presidents, but Fisk just got a new president as well. So bringing them to the table to actually hear as they uncover where their next needs are, their missions are, is going to be very helpful to this advisory board.
And I think it's always a good time to mention Tennessee is the only state to have a position like mine, have an advisory board like ours. And so we're really charting the course and writing it as we go. And so really looking forward to an opportunity to not only learn more to help the students of Tennessee, but also to be an example for other states with HBCUs. As HBCUs become more of a topic and we're looking into inequities around HBCUs, I think Tennessee is really taking some great strides in closing the gap for the students that go to those schools, and that's really what we're focusing on here.
Thank you. One more, just an idea, we consistently hear about the trends when it comes to Black and brown students and students from low-income backgrounds and the success rates for K-12, but also for post-secondary. Is there a way at some point in the future for us to have a understanding of what does that mean for HBCUs, but also what does that mean for all the other colleges, universities? I don't know if we get down to TCATs, but like, what does that mean for Tennessee?
Sure.
And what does that success look like? And I reflect back to the Black Male Initiative that was established many years ago. Is there a chance for us to be able to help in different ways?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you a national picture and then say I would love to do this at the state. Brookings and Pew Research Center have both done some studies of HBCU graduates. HBCU graduates in the main are more likely to be civically engaged, involved. They're more likely to show satisfaction in their jobs and in their communities, slightly less likely to have a mortgage 30 years after graduation, which we also find interesting. So there has been some work done on a national level comparing HBCU graduates to Black and brown graduates of non-HBCU institutions. Would love to dig a little bit deeper to see what that means for Tennessee, and also regionally, middle, west, east, the differences. But I think the value add for HBCUs today is that they are meeting students where they are, and they're providing a sense of belonging on campus that students are seeking out. And so certainly there's something to learn as well for other campuses on how to make students feel more welcome, how to make students, make students services more accessible and that sort of thing. And I think that's exactly the kind of information sharing that an HBCU consortium can bring to the table. Yeah.
I just think there's a really great opportunity for us to break down the barriers of students and allow them, we should be, my personal view is we should be advising students to go where it makes sense for them and where there's a good fit. So regardless of where you come from or what you look like, being able to break down those barriers of allowing people to have those successful pathways. So whether they're going to a TCAT or a community college or going 4-year, or there's transfers specifically for Black, brown, and low-income students, what are those barriers and how can we help break those down?
Yeah. One of the wins, I think, that we've had during our time in the Access and Outreach department, we've been able to add HBCUs to all of our college-going materials that go out to all of the counselors in high schools across all 95 counties. And now if you go to college4tn.org, which you should have bookmarked, my favorite website, on the map of Tennessee, HBCUs are represented with stars and include information about the SAC-COC accredited HBCUs, which I think is just another step in raising awareness for students around good fit, to your point. So would love to expand on that too.
Commissioner Scarlett, so for a future meeting then to identify those barriers for Black and brown students to college and have a conversation in the meeting for this committee here? So
I think that'd be valuable for all of us to hear. I would include low-income students in that as well, because I think that we consistently hear of the challenges that low-income students have, regardless of whether they're rural or suburban or urban.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can you provide some insight into, and there's a little bit of an echo, so it may have been said and I may have missed it, but into kind of what the data shows around first-generation students with HBCUs?
So not a lot of, because first generation depends on how students they self-identify on the FAFSA. I don't have a lot of solid data. I would love to look into that for you. But I think in the main, nationally, this is not Tennessee specifically, HBCU students are more likely to be first generation, more likely to be low information. So even if they do have a parent or a family, they have low college information as well, in addition to being Pell eligible. So from a national perspective, that is a trend. We can look into that around Tennessee students specifically.
There are no further questions or objections. I'll entertain a motion and second on this agenda item.
Councilwoman Scarlett?
Are we just moving to accept those candidates?
Yes.
So moved.
With no objection, we'll do a vote. Madam Secretary?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Our next items on the agenda are the new academic programs, University of Tennessee Health Science Center, Occupational Therapy Doctorate, and University of Tennessee Knoxville, Agricultural Leadership, Education, and Communication. Dr. Catherine Brackett, Senior Director of Academic Affairs, will provide an overview of these programs and introduce our speakers. Dr. Brackett, you are recognized. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, y'all. We have two programs for your consideration today. The first is an occupational therapy doctorate being proposed by the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. The second is a PhD in agricultural leadership, education, and communication at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. I'd like to introduce our two speakers today. The first is Dr. Cynthia Russell, who is Vice Chancellor for the Office of Academic, Faculty, and Student Affairs at University of Tennessee Health Science Center. Our second speaker will be Dr. John Zomchik, who is Provost of the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. Thank you.
Dr. Russell, you're recognized. And if you don't mind, you may want to pull the microphone down just a little bit. We do have a little bit of an echo in here.
How's that?
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
So good morning, Chair Allman, committee members, commission staff, distinguished guests, and colleagues. It's my privilege and I'm honored to be here today to present a proposed new academic program for the University of Tennessee Health Science Center, the Doctor of Occupational Therapy. As Tennessee's only public academic health sciences institution, the Health Science Center has a robust suite of academic programs offering professional degrees. This program is an important addition to our current catalog of academic programs and aligns with our institutional mission, which is transforming lives through collaborative and inclusive education, research, scholarship, clinical care, and public service. The program will be housed in the College of Health Professions and in the Department of Occupational Therapy. The College of Health Professions has many other professional degree programs, including the Doctor of Physical Therapy, the Masters of Pathologist Assistant, the Master of Laboratory Sciences, and the Doctor of Audiology. The OTD program prepares graduates for advanced roles in clinical care, management, leadership, or academia. Consistent with other OTD programs, students will receive didactic and clinical coursework in areas such as social determinants of health, critical issues in healthcare, leadership, program evaluation, advanced practice, and interprofessional perspectives. Each student will have a capstone experience completed in a clinical site, in the community, or with a particular population. We will also continue offering our Masters of Occupational Therapy, which has been offered since 2007 alongside the OTD. The Masters can be completed in 2 years, whereas the doctorate takes approximately 3 years. The Masters requires 75 credit hours. The doctorate takes approximately 3 years. Delivering the programs in parallel enables sharing of courses, with our OTD students having additional clinical experiences and also additional higher level expectations in those courses. The external reviewers commented on our plan to run the master's and doctorate side by side, saying the plan should be very attractive to prospective students who can really select what they want to be at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. Our reviewers also commended us on the strong reputation of the Health Science Center in offering a highly successful master's program, and noted that the addition of the doctorate was timely. As is true of the goals of all of our professional programs, we aim to increase the number of licensed professionals in the state. And graduates of this program will be prepared to fulfill more comprehensive and robust roles as they go into their clinical practice areas. All data point to an increasing demand for well-trained occupational therapists, whether looking at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, U.S. News and World Report, or the profession's accreditation council for occupational therapy education. Entry-level OT professionals benefit from a high starting salary ranging from $76,000 to $112,000, with a median salary of approximately $96,000 in Tennessee. Our OT program has strong and dedicated community and clinical partners as well as alumni, and you can see that the program is well supported by our community as we go to offer this additional pathway to an occupational therapy degree. The proposed program aligns with the state's master plan for higher education by increasing the number of post-secondary degrees in the state. It aligns with the programmatic accreditor, who we will seek accreditation from, in that the trend in initiating new OT programs is moving away from the master's to the doctorate. In 2023, as you'll note, 32 new master's programs compared to 126 new doctoral programs sought accreditation. 2 other public universities in Tennessee offer an OTD, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga and East Tennessee State University. We project starting slow and growing intentionally to allow the department to be nimble and responsive to potential changes in enrollment for our master's program as the OTD is introduced. With the high demand for OT professionals, we anticipate few, if any, issues in filling our classes. The master's program has had stable enrollment at 40 to 42 new students annually for some time. As we proceed with these 2 programs side by side, we can make purposeful adjustments in cohort size for either one. The OT profession has not designated the Doctor of Occupational Therapy as the entry to practice credential, even though discussion continues at the national level. Having this degree program approved and in place will be useful if the profession does move in that direction. We have resources in place to begin offering this program. No new faculty members will be needed initially until enrollment would increase. And once we see that increase, then we can apply revenues to hiring additional faculty members. We do have already sufficient clinical sites and have cultivated new clinical sites for the program. To establish tuition, we reviewed our health science center peers as well as regional and in-state institutions. Our tuition and fees are comparable to the Medical University of South Carolina, which is one of our peer institutions, and the University of Mississippi Medical Center, which is a regional institution. The annual tuition and fees for the OTD are approximately $25,000 for in-state and just over $41,000 for out-of-state, which makes the 3-year program in-state tuition and fees approximately $75,000 and out-of-state slightly more than $123,000. This all compares favorably to our master's tuition. And in summary, I'll just return to the words of our external program reviewers who said, with the growing complexity of healthcare delivery, the OTD degree will best prepare students to address those issues. I'd love to answer any questions you have.
I've got a couple. Dr. Russell, thank you for your presentation. The professional credentialing requirement, is that at the master's degree level for the profession?
Correct, currently.
So will the new doctoral graduates, will they be competing for the same jobs with the master's degree graduates, just with an additional year of training?
So in looking at their program of study, it actually prepares them for leadership roles in academia, roles also engaged in scholarly research. So they're at a bit of different level as opposed to our masters of occupational therapy, which are more the clinicians out in practice on a day-to-day basis. Our doctor of occupational therapy folks may also do that very same thing, though. It prepares them to do something different should they want to do something different.
Do you have any way of anticipating, what proportion of people who choose the doctoral program might be interested in academic degrees? That seems to be one of the advantages or academic careers.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that seems to be one of the major advantages of pursuing a doctorate over the master's degree?
It is an advantage in terms of there are not nearly enough, in any of our health sciences programs, not nearly enough faculty to be in those programs, so that's certainly attractive to some. We've also had students that did not come to our master's program because they said, we'd really love to have the doctorate. So that's another reason we think we'll have sufficient.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. You mentioned the field work. How many weeks of, or days of field work, or months of field work do this doctorate program have?
So the OTD students actually start doing field work in their very first semester, and start developing their projects in that first semester all the way through. And really that's a core component of what that last year is, where they really hone in on their skills, and do more of that field work at a much more in-depth level than the master's students.
That's helpful. I'm a little bit saddened to see that the Accreditation Council on Occupational Therapy Education is reporting that they're not hiring entry level from a master's degree and really leaning in on the doctorate degree. Is that going to be continuing to be a trend in the health space? Because where do we have middle management? How do we, and it's more of a theoretical question than anything about this degree, but I'm just curious to know what you're seeing.
I think as with most of our health professions programs, we see people going into a variety of roles, not solely based on what their degree is, whether it's a master's or a doctorate. ACOT, it's a professional disagreement among a couple of occupational therapy groups as to should the doctorate be the entry to practice. So similar to our doctor of physical therapy, which became the entry to practice a while back, from the BS on up. At some point, ACOT and the other organization may agree on that. Right now they don't, but as we've seen, whether it's nursing going to the doctor of nursing practice or physical therapy going to our doctor of physical therapy, there's every thought that at some point that may actually prove to be true for us.
Thank you, Commissioner Perry. Commissioner Scarlett, any other questions?
Could you maybe speak to duplication of the program? It sounds like and I'm new to the commission, and so still kind of learning how this works, but you've got a presence in 2 public universities in the eastern part of the state and private universities with similar programs. Is there a reason that this is being driven kind of in kind of western side of the state that's critical for the region there?
Yeah. So as you rightly note, we don't have an occupational therapy doctorate in the western side of the state. We do have students who have requested that as well. We serve a vastly different population than Middle Tennessee or East Tennessee, and having it as an option to do is what we believe is right. And also the fact we talk about duplication, but what we're really able to do, especially as we start this program out, is to be able to use existing faculty, to use and cultivate our new clinical experiences, and to start growing the OTD. At the same time, we may actually see a decrease in the master's program. So there could just be a trade-off that way. And then what we're doing is really serving the needs of students who would want to come to the Health Science Center, and better serving Eastern or Western Tennessee, as you can see from the Department of Labor statistics, in terms of really needing more OT professionals at all levels.
Dr. Russell, thank you. Just going back to those 2 organizations, if they ever do agree that the doctorate should be the entry, will Health Science Center wind down the master's program? Is that the intent?
So it would depend, I think, on what if truly it was the doctorate is the entry professional, yes, there would be no need for the master's degree, unless at the same time they said master's students are prepared to do X level of work, the doctoral degree is what's really needed for entry into practice. So we would do that. I don't see a reason why we would not do that. I will say, I'm a nurse as my background, and I believe it was 1968 they came out with the statement that the Bachelor of Science shall be the entry degree for nursing, and we're still not there. So it depends on how long it goes.
No other questions. I'll entertain a motion and second on this agenda item.
So moved.
Second.
No objections. We'll go ahead and take a vote. Madam Secretary?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. Dr. Zomchik, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair Allman. Excuse me. Morning, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased this morning to stand before you to present a proposal for a doctoral philosophy in agricultural leadership, education, and communication for your approval. This degree will be offered by the department that has the very same name, henceforth ALEC, so I don't have to say all those words. ALEC is a department in our Herbert College of Agriculture, which is in the UT Institute of Agriculture, and I'm pleased that Senior Vice Chancellor and Senior Vice President of UT Institute of Agriculture, Keith Carver, is here this morning with us. Let me tell you a bit about the origin of this degree. In 2016, ALEC went through an academic program review, a regular academic program review, and at that time it was recommended that it consider creating a PhD degree to supplement or complement or complete its inventory of academic programs. It currently has both a baccalaureate degree and a master's degree in academic leadership, education, and communication. In 2020, they underwent some strategic planning exercises and decided to pursue this. In 2021, they had another visit, academic program review visit, and those visitors also recommended that they consider a PhD program for their department. I'm standing here this morning to take you through what this program will look like and explain why it's important for us. The program's objective is to really prepare its students to address social science issues in the field of agriculture and natural resources. The primary audience or market for this is both current undergraduate and graduate majors in ALEC. Our master's program in ALEC currently enrolls about 80 students a year. And in addition to those, we also think that the program will be very attractive to communication majors, as well as to working professionals in our ag extension, and perhaps also to secondary teachers across the state who try and bring to high school students the value and the importance of agriculture for our state. Of course, with the growing reputation for excellence for the UT Institute of Agriculture and the Herbert College of Agriculture, we believe that this program will compete also for out-of-state students who are interested in the subject matter here. The modality of the program will be primarily face-to-face, but we will also offer online courses for those who want to take at least part of their program at a distance. All will have to come at some point to complete the program to the Knoxville campus, but they will not require permanent residence during the time that they are in the program. As you see there, coursework is 72 hours beyond the baccalaureate or 48 hours beyond the master's program. This program will be open to both full-time and part-time students, and so the duration of the program will depend on the stage at which they start and whether or not they are full or part-time. It will be the only PhD program in this subject in the state of Tennessee. It will be an interdisciplinary program in that it will cover both the science of agriculture and, shall we say, the art of communication and education. And as I said earlier, it does add a social science focus to our already extraordinary array of programs within the Herbert College of Agriculture. In terms of supporting evidence, the Tennessee Farm Bureau is in support of this proposal, as is, there's a letter from Tennessee State University, the other land grant here in the state. There are 37 potential feeder programs in the state. In the southeastern states, the number of job postings in agriculture and extension education services is number one. And one of the things that I neglected to mention, that in addition to preparing professionals, working professionals, this program, because it is a PhD program with a research focus, will also prepare faculty of the future, which is, I think, very important for agriculture. Finally, the enrollment and financial projections. The cost of this program will be quite modest. The Institute has reassigned one 30% FTE as a faculty member, but the monies that you see up there in terms of expenditures going from $73,000 to $162,000 are principally for funding graduate assistants, graduate teaching assistants, and graduate research assistants. We'll start with one in year one and go to 4 by year 4. The program will never be large, but we believe it does serve a very important role. It fills a gap in our offerings at the Herbert College of Agriculture, and it continues to bring the expertise of the Institute to all of the citizens in the state of Tennessee. I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have. Thank you for listening.
Any questions for Dr. Zomchik?
Thank you. Dr. Zomchik, you said that this would be the first PhD program of its kind in Tennessee. When you were building this curriculum, did you model the program off of other out-of-state programs that were similar? And if so, have they shown a lot of student interest and have been able to find future employment?
So that's a great question. We did. There are 3 other programs that we looked at. I don't have them on the tip of my tongue or at the forefront of my head here, but actually what we looked at very carefully was when we had the site visit from the reviewer. We went back and forth for a little bit about the curriculum itself, and as a result, we modified the curriculum to make sure that there was a comprehensive survey of the 3 elements in the PhD program, as well as a focus in one of the 3 elements. In addition to that, we've looked at demand for the position. The median salary nationally for agricultural experts with graduate degrees is about $68,000. Not as high as some others, obviously, but we do believe that there is demand, and those programs, Michigan State is one, it's coming back to me now. Michigan State is one, and those programs are well enrolled.
Thank you.
I've got a couple. Dr. Zomchik, thank you for your presentation. On the subject of earnings expectations, I see in the workforce alignment portion of your presentation that you're expecting a considerable proportion of ALEC PhD grads to go into high school and middle school education. Is that right?
So as you see, we have the considerable portion means in a small program like this, we will not probably enroll. The enrollment projections are anywhere from 10 to 14 a year, 10 full-time, 4 part-time. Some of that will be for high school, but we do believe that there will be some that will go into extension work or who are already in extension work. And we'll use this program as an opportunity for professional advancement. But when I actually presented this to our Board of Trustees, I certainly said to them that we hope that there are secondary school teachers throughout the state who would take advantage of this program and be able to bring the additional learning and training that they receive in the program to our students across the state in order to get them interested and prepared for the study of agriculture, whether it be with us or one of the other institutions. So, Commissioner Perry, it's really difficult to say where these individuals will go. I do also think that there will be a market for faculty members because for future faculty members here.
That's helpful. And if I understand you, with respect to secondary educators, you're envisioning that existing teachers might then pursue this program rather than that students might pursue this ALEC PhD for the purpose of going into secondary education?
Yes, sir, that's exactly correct.
Okay.
For existing teachers.
Okay, thank you.
No other questions? At this time, I'll entertain a motion and a second of this agenda, on this agenda item.
Motion.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please take a vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Motion carries. Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
Thank you. The final agenda item is other business. If any committee member has any other business to take up at this moment, I will turn to you.
I have one thing I'd just like to bring up and mention, and I'm probably a little loud, but I have a hard time hearing. I didn't know if anybody else did as well. So as a student access and student success committee, sometimes I think it might be good to reflect back on how we're doing as a state. And as Tennesseans, I think we should take some great pride in we haven't always had the best access programs across the country, and sometimes we've ranked near the bottom during my lifetime, but right now I think we rank absolutely near the top as it relates to student access programs. And I think our next big challenge is to be ranked near the top with student success programs. So what I would like to propose perhaps at our winter meeting is to ask the THEC staff, along with some of our private sector partners, I was thinking about perhaps Tennessee Achieves and the Ayers Foundation, to do a presentation about how are we doing in academic access and how are we doing in student success and what does the research show as it relates to the challenges that lie ahead. And the reason I bring that up is because I think that we have some research on some model programs that if we could implement on a broader scale, it would make a very strong case for some investment of future dollars to ensure that we are ranking as high in student success as we are in student access. So I know sometimes it's easy to focus on our challenges, but I would hope this would be a way of celebrating our success to a certain extent as it relates to what we've achieved in access programs. There are a lot of people who deserve a great deal of credit for that, but also I would like to look at what can we be doing to make sure that when students come to our institutions, whether it be a TCAT, a community college, a university, an LGI, or HBCUs, or whatever the case may be, how can we prepare them to have as much success there as possible? And as a commission, I think that should be one of our primary goals going forward. So I just want to toss that out there. I'll bring it up at the full commission tomorrow as well. And I hope that we can get members of the General Assembly informed on this. I think they may be, but I'm not sure about that. But also, as Tennesseans, I think it's something we should take great pride in, that, we're not near the bottom of one of our important measures, but we're near the top. And so that's a real tribute to, I think, the staff at the Higher Education Commission, our private sector partners, the General Assembly, and particularly when you look at Governor Haslam and Governor Lee and the things they've achieved during their administration. So just want to toss that out for your consideration. And while I don't have a specific action item, I don't suppose how that would look. I would like the staff to just take a review of that and see what you could update us on.
Thank you, Commissioner Ragsdale. And I was going to take the other business items that I mentioned. Tomorrow, during my executive director report, I have seated two presentations. One to Dwayne Gregg, he's our Senior Director of College Access and Initiatives, to give you guys an overview of the college, sorry about that, wow, yeah, there we go. There we go. To give you guys an overview tomorrow of the college access initiatives that we have, not just at THEC, but across the state as well, which will set us up well for the next time this committee meets in the winter to bring those together, and maybe TBR and UT and others as well who are in that space too. I'll also be giving a presentation tomorrow on financial aid. Commissioner Woods, you had recommended that I go into the mechanics of the financial aid. We'll have that tomorrow, as well as a presentation on enrollment for the fall. All of those could have been presented at this committee, but we elected to go for the commission overall, given the intricate details of it and wanting to hear all commissioners have that access to it. But I think that will springboard well for the next time this committee meets to bring in Tennessee Achieves and AIRS, as we just came off this past week with really good news that the Tennessee Promise application deadline passed on November 1, and we were, this year, another record-breaking number of Tennessee Promise applications. So hats off to our team, but also major hats off to Tennessee Achieves, AIRS, our partnering organizations to help us get us there.
Any other comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just as a 1998 Lambuth grad, I want to congratulate you all on selecting an excellent place for this meeting.
And if I may, Madam Chair, just to say on top of that, I'm going to thank University of Memphis for hosting us here today. We've got activities all throughout the day, a tour of the campus later this afternoon, a committee here and a commission meeting here as well. Tomorrow we'll hear from President Hargrave as well. I want to recognize Dr. Rusumano, the Provost of University of Memphis. Thank you very much for hosting us here today.
Thank you. This concludes our agenda. If we have no further business, we stand adjourned. Okay.